Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, let's get started. Prabhuji, you can continue the prayers. Then I will.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Vidirayet Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Udayam Tasto Hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhit Satam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Do you want to share the shloka? So we're reading from Canto 4, the creation of fourth order, chapter 6, Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva, verse 1 and 2. Maitreya uvacha atadeva gana sarve rudranikai parajitah shulapatti shanistrim shagada parighamugdare sanchina bhinna sarvanga सर्वितकस्य भयाकुला स्वयंभुवे नमस्कृत्य कात्सर्णे नैतनन् यवेदयन्. Synonyms. Maitreya uvacha, Maitreya said, Atha, after this, Devagana, the demigods, Sarve, all, Rudra Anikai, by the soldiers of Lord Shiva, Parajita, having been defeated, Shula, trident, Pattisha, a sharp-edged spear, Nistrimsa, a sword, Gada, mace, Parigha, an iron bludgeon, Mudgara, a hammer-like weapon, Sanchinna Bhinna Sarva Anga, all the limbs wounded, Sartvik Sabhya, with all the priests and members of the sacrificial assembly, Bhayakula, with great fear, Swayambhuve, unto Lord Brahma, Namaskritya, after offering obeisances, Katsanyena, in detail, Etat, the event of Daksha's sacrifice, Nyavadhyan reported. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the priests and other members of the sacrificial assembly and all the demigods, having been defeated by the soldiers of Lord Shiva and injured by weapons like tridents and swords, approached Lord Brahma with great fear. After offering him obeisances, they began to speak in detail of all the events which had taken place. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. I would like to bow down to all the assembled Vaishnavas who are present here. So please help me, empower me so that I can speak which is in line with the Shastras and I don't try to manufacture from my mind and heart. So I collected some points from class given by devotees at ISKCON, Connecticut I also got something from His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu and His Holiness Rumapa Swami Maharaj. And I also included some points which I heard from many devotees regarding the Shiva Tattva and try to consolidate some of the things. So, as we know, like totally there are 6 chapters in which Daksha's episode is mentioned. So, Canto 4, Chapter 2 to Chapter 7, the Daksha episode goes on. And last time we read about Chapter 5. Yesterday only we completed Chapter 5, titled Frustrations of the Sacrifice of Daksha. So, in the last chapter, as we know, after Sati Devi was insulted by Daksha, she gives up her life entering into the fire. And after that, when Lord Shiva knows about this, Lord Shiva orders his followers, and these followers um, come to the arena, and then they devastate all the arrangements for the sacrifice. They kill all the soldiers of Daksha and and set the fire to the whole arena. Whereas Virabhadra, who is described as the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually born of Lord Shiva's hair, he beheads Daksha and threw his head into the sacrificial fire. And after that, in today's shloka, the Devatas, who were all wounded and who were all by the Gana of Lord Shiva, approaches Brahma for protection. So they come to Lord Brahma, describe the whole event, what all happened, and then and by the way, it is also described that Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu were not part of this event, knowing that this was about to happen. Why? That's when Lord Brahma describes about that they knew that Lord Shiva would be offended. So first, Lord Brahma admonishes Devatas that you have excluded Lord Shiva from taking part in this sacrificial results. And therefore, all the Devatas are offenders at his lotus feet. And whoever have offended this and who are a part of this blasphemy of this great personality, they can never be happy. So interestingly enough, as we can see, blaspheming of devotee is one of the first offense in the 10 offenses what Srila Prabhupada has given. So that it clearly shows this example that when we blaspheme any devotee, we can never be happy. That is why we have to practice this and take this point very seriously and practice in our lives not to blaspheme anyone, leave about devotees. That way, at least, we come to a state where we can be away from this blaspheming. And with blaspheming, there is a severe repercussions. And as we know, Lord Shiva, who is actually the foremost Vaishnava, is Vaishnava Yata Shambhu. So then Lord Brahma, interestingly enough, describes Lord Shiva to be like an ordinary person. In text 6 and following certain verses, Lord Brahma describes that Lord Shiva was actually very sorry because he had recently lost his dear wife and he was very much afflicted by the unkind verses of Daksha. That is the reason why he acted this way, where he had to punish or kill all the Daksha Gana and also behead Daksha. But interestingly, this is something that we do not expect from Lord Shiva, right? So for that, with this conception, when they actually go to Lord Shiva in next chapter, in 7th chapter, Lord Shiva gives this answer where he says that I don't mind the offenses created by demigods because these demigods are childish and less intelligent. I do not take a serious view of their offenses and have punished them only in order to right them. So it's like a father on son. So the Prabhupada describes that this is something like you can understand as a punishment given by father to a son. So as you can see, Lord Shiva is above this material modes. So that's why Lord Shiva is a very complex character to understand. Even Lord Brahma got bewildered, as we can see in as you will see in chapter 6. To understand him, see him like an ordinary personality, but actually not. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead too, which we will come to that later. And later on in the same text, Srila Prabhupada describes that it was actually good that Daksha had died. Why? Because if he had lived, he would have committed such offenses at lotus feet of great personalities again and again. And by doing so, thus, he was creating a hell for himself. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that actually whatever happened, there is for a reason. As a father punishes the child so that he doesn't commit these offenses again and again, similarly, Lord Shiva made Daksha to suffer so much so that he doesn't commit this kind of offenses. As we see in next chapter, Daksha regains his consciousness and then understand the situation, and he comes to the right path. So that's the whole point. So then in the further shlokas, Lord Brahma takes devatas to Kailasha, and the beauty and the opulence of Kailasha is described. So it's described that there are so many trees, flowers, fruits, trees, lakes, animals. It's also described there are so many Siddha Purushas. There's great exalted saints present in the Kailashas. And Lord Shiva is actually sitting underneath a tree, a gigantic banyan tree, which is like 800 miles high and 600 miles wide. And that too in the vicinity of great devotees like Chatur Kumaras, Narada, and of course Kuvera was also there. So we can see that, and he was completely tranquilent. He was as if nothing has happened. He was not at all bothered. So we can understand here that Lord Shiva externally looked like, or Lord Brahma, the way he perceived, looked like as if he got agitated, but in reality, he did not. He was just acting like a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the conversation between Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva started, where Lord Brahma started explaining Lord Shiva about his role. Like, first of all, he appreciated Lord Shiva. He praised Lord Shiva by saying that, O most auspicious Lord, you have ordained the heavenly planets, the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, and the impersonal Brahman sphere as the respective destinations of the performers of auspicious activities. Similarly, for others who are miscreants, you have destined different kinds of hells which are horrible and ghastly. Yet sometimes it is found that their destinations are just opposite. It is very difficult to ascertain this cause. So in this description, you can see again, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma is praying Lord Shiva as if he is a supreme personality of Godhead. So the on and off, like in some verses, he is describing him like a personality of Godhead, supreme personality of Godhead. In some verses, is describing as an ordinary person. In some verses, is describing as like a demigod. So, what's the real understanding? That was the question that I was asking myself. So, as I said, Lord Shiva's tattva is very interesting and very complex. In fact, just give me a second. In fact, in the Nama Parad, which is actually taken from the Sri Padma Puran, states the shloka: Shivasya Shri Vishnur ya iha guna namadi sakalam Divya Bhinnam Pashet Sa Khalu Hari Namahita Karaha. What it means is Shivasya Shri Vishnu, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu's Nama. Yah iha guna namadi. Guna, qualities, Nam, and Adi, like all the other things. Sakalam, Dhiya Bhinnam. Dhiya Bhinnam. Dhiya means with intelligent, Bhinnam means difference. Pashet Sakhalu Hari Nama Hita Karaha. Nama Ahita Karaha. Nama Ahita Karaha means that's one of the aparad. So interestingly enough, like from this is the second offense where Lord Shiva, if we consider name of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be equal, the same form, same platform, then the devotee is actually creating is ahita or the offenses. But at the same time, dhiya bhinnam can also be divided as dhiya plus abhinnam. What it means is dhiya means intelligence, abhinnam means not separate. So if you consider him to be separate, then you are creating offenses. Then if you are not considering him to be similar, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, then also you are creating offenses. So either or, in whichever case you are creating offenses. So how do we understand that? That is where Sri Sanatan Goswami gives his commentary. The commentary says that those who worship Lord Shiva to be different from Lord Vishnu, that is not acceptable because that is not acceptable. But as Matsya Avatar, who is actually like a Leela Avatar, similarly, Lord Shiva is also a Guna Avatar. So when you look at the avatar point of view, he's a Guna Avatar of Lord Vishnu. That means he is Lord Vishnu, right? Therefore, at the same time, he's different, right? Because he's like as we said, if you consider, if you take as milk and if you make it as a curd, the curd form of milk is Lord Shiva. That's how it's been described. So the curd is exactly not milk. At the same time, without milk, the curd cannot exist. So he's a Guna avatar. So that means he has some relationship with Lord Vishnu, like he is Vishnu. At the same time, he's not Vishnu. So therefore, we have to consider Lord Shiva simultaneously to be same and different. With this understanding, with this interim approach, devotees will be protected from dosha. And by only this, bhakti is revealed. So that is why we have to consider Lord Shiva not like in English, there is a simple word demigod, right? Demigod is, we see it as like a lower stature. But actually, if you look at in Sanskrit words, he is referred as Mahadev. The other devatas, Indra, Chandra, and they are called as Devagan. Lord Shiva is considered to be Mahadev. So he has a position which is superior to Lord, all the other devatas. So he has to given sufficient respects. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives us one of the prayer, and it says, Vrindavanani, Vrindavanavani Pate Jaya Soma Soma Shanaka Sanadhana Sanatana Naradetya Gopeshwara Vraja Vilasa Yugangri Padme Prema Prayacha Nirupandi Namaste. So this is how our consciousness should be when we actually approach Lord Shiva. O protector of Vrindavana, O Soma, all glories unto you, O husband of Parvati, O you, whose head is decorated with the moon, and who is worshipable sages by Shanaka, Sanadana, Sananda, Sanatana, and Narada, O Gopishwara, I pray that you bestow upon me divine love for the lotus feet of Sri Radha Govinda, who perform joyous pastimes in Brajadhama. I offer my respects unto you again and again. And also, Lord Chaitanya composed six Ashtottaram for Lord Shiva. And in the last line, it says, Etat Shivasyastakam Adbhutam Mahat Shrinvan Hari Prema Labhet Shinga. So you can understand, even if when you approach Lord Shiva with the right mood and right understanding, it is with whom you also get the Hari Prema. So therefore, I know in our devotee circle also there is a confusion about taking about Lord Shiva, that we should not go to his temple, or even if we see him on the way, if there is a Shiva temple, we should ignore him. There is some devotees, they do it, but in reality, Lord Shiva should never be, ever be neglected. So that is the right understanding we should go with, that he is similar to Lord Vishnu. At the same time, there is a difference. So with this understanding, we should actually approach Lord Shiva. And then the one question that comes, it's already 1 minute. So I'll just conclude in 30 seconds. There's one more thing. People come with this question that should we accept prasada of Lord Shiva or not? So I heard something from His Holiness Bhaktisundar Goswami Maharaj when he came. I asked this question, whether when we offer it to demigods, should we honor that prasadam or not? He gave this answer. You can honor based on the consciousness. If you're sure that a devotee has offered the bhoga to Krishna, asking for something spiritual, not material, then you can honor. What it means is, what is prasada? When you offer something, you request Lord to honor it. But we have some of our own desire that we also put forward. So Bhagavan takes that, or whatever the god, demigod, he takes in. But if you offer it with love and affection, that it has to be offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead for your own spiritual progress. So Lord takes in and gives in the form of prasada. When you have that prasada, when you consume that prasada, you get those desires, what you actually asked for. Therefore, we can accept prasada of Lord Shiva if we understand clearly that it's actually been offered with great love and for the spiritual progress. So those are some of the points that I could gather and understand. Thank you for this opportunity, and please forgive me if I committed any mistakes. And if any devotees would like to share anything, please.